tax cut for manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
I know that was something that, you know, it's pretty popular.
Right.
Yeah, right. So can you tell us, you know, the basic details of what that was about and what your point of view was on it?
When you talk about manufacturers specifically, Governor Scott was thinking stuff like Boeing. You're talking about big, heavy industrial users. So planes, maybe tractors. We have Caterpillar, Ring Powers here. So stuff like that. So that's the manufacturing side. And we ended up passing it. Again, I think it's a great thing because it promotes that incentive package. It's promoting business into the state of Florida. We can now go compete with all the other states, and I believe we were the only state in southeastern U.S. that had this tax. So again, we were handicapping ourselves. So it passed in the Senate, and it came to the House, and we passed it in the House. I believe it was a split vote. I think it was 76-44-45. And hopefully it's going to his desk to be a law now. So that's where we're at. We decided to go with the merit pay, and it's just coming from the private sector. You know, if you're going to give your employees a raise, let's give the employees, you know, we can give everybody across the board X, or we can give the better ones a little bit more. And with the merit pay, some of the better ones will get a little bit more. So what we decided to do was basically to say, look, the teachers that are being highly effective or effective, we'll give them a raise. The teachers that they weren't that great, and I don't think there are that many out there, but may not get that raise. But it's just like looking at business from a private sector standpoint, specifically in here. If you're going to give a raise to your company because you have bonuses, you're going to give it to the ones that overperformed and overachieved. Yeah, there's a 2 levels. So we've got the merit pay based, and then it's effective or highly effective. And then we actually changed at the last appropriation stop, and we changed in our appropriations. It says if the teachers have worked out their collective bargaining with their local school board, and they have a merit-based pay system, come July 1st when we allocate that money, it can go right to the teachers.
So what were the committees that you served on?
Okay, the 5 committees were education, that's the full committee. Then I was on criminal justice subcommittee. I was on the government operations and appropriations subcommittee. I was on the rules and repeals subcommittee, and then the economic development and tourism subcommittee. Yeah, the rules and repeals subcommittee, and what that committee does, and it's one of my favorites as well, what that committee does is we look at laws that have been passed 4, 5, 6 years ago. If they never have been implemented, we automatically take them right off the books. We actually stripped 700 laws this year in that one committee that were just no activity to them. And we do that every year, you know, because there are some bills that seem like a good idea. They get passed, the department looks at it, no one takes advantage of it, you know, and then it just kind of sits dormant. And you don't want something that's been there for 30 years that somebody automatically starts using. I mean, if it hadn't been used, you know, there's a reason for it. So we get rid of it. Yes, we are. I have a meeting with the principals tomorrow. We are going to do a mock legislation. The goal. Let me preface that. The goal is to do a mock legislation here with our high school students. Let them sit on 2 different committees. I want to split them up with Palm Coast and Matanzas, kind of split their minds up and what their areas of interest are, and kind of have a very uniform, unbiased group with 2 committees, and let them run their own laws. And let's pass them through our committees, and maybe it takes maybe a month or 2 of planning and doing.
You're asking them to go through the process.
They're going to go through the process, and whoever wins, whatever committee, or we'll bring them together for an actual house.
Gets elected out of their process.
Yeah, whatever bill gets elected and finalized, we will file for the State House next year. And the goal would to try to be, if the kids can, make them come up there, and we'll present them in front of committees, actually on the State House. But I want to have a bill that the children of Flagler wrote. Whatever their idea is, I'm not going to have any input in it, and we'll file it and we'll run it. So I'm saving 1 bill slot for the students of Flagler County. The Senate came up with a plan that took a portion of the federal dollars. I don't think it was all. It might have been very close to all, to cover about 1.1 million Floridians. The House, our side, looked at it and took a different position. We tried to do something innovative. We tried to privatize medicine. In other words, what we tried to do was take $0 from the federal exchange. We were going to be able to fund 550,000 Floridians. And of that 550, those were the ones that really needed it. Of the difference between the two, between ours and the Senate plan, the Senate was funding able-bodied working individuals that were between 21 and 65. We just said if you're between 21 and 65 and you can get a job or you have a part-time job, you can go get your own plan. That's kind of how we figured. Everybody else, we were asking them to put in about $20 to $25 a month. We would cover the rest, but the idea was to get them off of Medicaid by privatizing the entire market so that we don't have a Medicaid market anymore. Every healthcare provider can be able to get in there. So if you were currently on Medicaid, obviously it's your prerogative if you wanted to stay, but with the $25 you put in plus the $2,500 we were giving you, you can go out there and get your private, your privatized plan. The House passed one thing, the Senate passed something else. Ultimately, we don't have anything right now. The negatives with taking the money, and this is kind of why we opted not to in the House side. Yeah. Once you take it, you're stuck. You can't opt out anymore. The agenda for next year, right now, I'm taking 2 or 3 ideas that I have, education and environmental, and we're kind of workshopping those. By August, we want it on the speaker's desk, and we want it on the top chair's desk for education or environmental. And say, is this a good idea? Should we proceed forward with it? One of the big ones, and it's an idea we're kicking around, is the public-private partnership that everybody talks about. We want to see there's the academy-style programs that a lot of school boards have, and they've worked good with them. Kind of to piggyback that vocational idea that we've just passed, I want to see what possible businesses, private businesses, will come in and rehab our classrooms. Spend capital dollars and use that for that hybrid system where they're vocational and teaching kids vocational stuff. So it's a partnership with DOE, partnership with the school board, the local school board, the local schools, and the businesses coming in, and I want to see if we can give them some type of tax incentive or tax rebate thing. So you're working with the DOE vocational model. You maybe rehab an entire classroom, maybe it's a portable, or maybe it's a classroom that needed rehab. You rehab the classroom with capital improvement dollars, and then we'll give you some type of tax rebate on the end from the state level. They're going to invest into our school, and we're not having to spend state dollars. I want to be able to, in return, give them something back. So that's kind of the idea, to get those vocational schools kind of kick-started.